Welcome back to What's in My Drawers Golf Talk. And what it means is that old club makers are terrible pack rats, or they're terrific pack rats, depending on your frame of mind on that one. This is where we talk about golf equipment, golf fittings, golf repairs, and golf opinions. And we've been doing this since the beginning of the pandemic, and we're going to keep on doing it as we have grown our audience and we are growing the way that we talk to people. And that's really the most important part of it. So again, today, what are we going to talk about? Well, number one, we want to say congratulations to Jason Kokrak. He won the CJ Cup at Shadow Creek, and with a minus 20. And all he had to do was basically par out the last few holes, and he had it. And it must be like the contest of the most awful last spelled words. Kokrak and Schauffele, 1 and 2 at minus 20 and minus 18. So, and I guess Kokrak walked away with a cool 1.7 million, and Schauffele walked away with just over $1 million. Darn the bad luck at like 1.02 or something along that lines. So it's been is good golf to be played by everybody, thank goodness, and it was a good environment. There wasn't a whole lot of adverse weather, any of that kind of stuff that you typically see when during the change of season like we have. If you see, well, right over here, we're starting to get orange and red and purple colors now that we're getting into the fall. All right, so things that we've done. Well, we've been throwing around Mizuno. There's been a lot of popularity in the Mizuno clubs, right? The JPXs. And last week I showed you a couple sets that I sent out, and this will be no different. That was the next to last set of forges, JPX Forge clubs, and my last set that I ordered is sitting on the workbench ready to go in kind of a split set to Cal. So, but what did we put on them? Well, we put in these are KBS Tour 90s that went in those guys. Worked out really, really well. They ended up reaming them out and then doing a frequency match as well as swing weight. And then we use the Golf Pride Align, Tour Velvet Align in standard, and we put one extra grit or roll of tape underneath of that so that you can see where these lines are right here. So not too bad overall. Good little set. Pardon me. The thing about that is that the gap wedge, right? We've been talking about how Mizuno's been missing the gap wedge, and that is something else. And so we really have to congratulate them on going to the gap wedge, because I think that's a fine addition to just about any set. Now, as far as releases go, if hot on the internet is, we've seen stuff on the Titleist TS2 and TS3. Although I'm not a Titleist person, nor am I a vendor. If for some reason Titleist you're watching, if you want me to review it, I'd be more than happy to give it a shot. However, it looks like the TS2 is the one that is more egg-shaped, and the TS3 is more players-like, I would imagine. And getting a lot of good reviews. I don't think it's outpowering anybody, but it's a super good look, I'll say that. And it looks like it's up there. Titleist used to be a really big deal when it came to drivers, and they've since lost that notch to both TaylorMade and Callaway. And in this one, they very, very well may start getting that step up on somebody, particularly if you're not looking good. The other news that we saw coming in was Callaway released Apexes, the Apex in the forged iron, right? In the forged iron. So you're going to see a bladed model and a new forged, we'll call it a player's cavity back. And that's starting to get some play. I just saw on the internet where Phil put it in the bag. put those clubs in the bag, and won his second Champions Tour event. So he's one of three that won it 3 times, or the one of three that have won their first 2 outings on the Champions Tour. So he's setting setting records, hitting bombs, right? So that's where we can go with that. So that's been, as we're getting down to the end of golf season here, and it's starting to pick up other places. However, we're still seeing a lot of work that has to go out, which thank you guys for all of that. And so we're going to keep going. Now, what I have done, and you guys haven't really seen it before, but we're going to be seeing some more videos on putting stuff. I've decided that I better get my backside in gear and start using this Capto unit. Let me show you. It's Capto. It's from Italy, and basically it's that big. It's not real big, and it attaches to the shaft of the putter, and this thing gives just a truckload of information in a very user-friendly sort of way. And we're going to start using that. We're going to start talking about putters and how weight affects things, toe dangle hangs things, that kind of thing. And I put it on this computer right here in order to have all my fitting stuff on just one computer. And now I'm contemplating of whether or not I'm putting the putting green inside the fitting room. So that would be something. So tell me, what do you guys think? Do you like moving around from place to place to break up the monotony? Because right now, what we do is we go out there and they putt out in the main room, and then we're in here. And what I would do is I would be sending them into there. So I'd put the putting green into there, and it would be just front of where you would hit. And then we would just put into there. And what I would do is it would be displayed. The information would be displayed just as if it was on the launch monitor, right? I think I got you in there. I hate to. Here we go. And so that was something. So what do you guys think about that one? Just let me know. All righty. That was a real quickie. So we got some questions to answer today. Let's get to the top. Mr. Phil, National Gin Day. I had no idea. All right. Well, right here to you. Right. Salute. That's Glenn Fittich this time around. Well done. Malt. I like that. I like that a lot. Very well. Thank you. And again, Phil, thanks for tuning in, buddy. I know it's very, very late for you, and I appreciate the fact that you're staying up to talk to us. Matt, no rounds, 4 soccer games. Oh, yep. Colton, what? Guys, if you don't know Matt, he is a real trooper. This is a guy that can go golfing. Basically, I think the quote he gave me was, if it's not snowing, he can be golfing. Aye. And I guess, in reality, when you're all bundled up, that short backswing of his probably comes into play way better than most of those other guys. San Felipe, Mexico. Jack, what are you doing down there? Hopefully it's a vacation. That's very, very cool. Robin, that is vodka for her. All right. Chilling in the freezer. That's about right. That's where you want to put it. Brendan from Ireland. Thank you, sir, for checking in yet again. I do like that your icon that you have there. Are you guys pretty much done for the season across the pond as well? All right. Matt's got us one. He's getting us started. Any thoughts on the Ping Hoofer bag, going with the 14 dividers and just checking in? Well, I will say this. The Ping Hoofer bag was the predominant carry bag probably in the 80s and quite possibly into the 90s. And with that, the hoofer, and the reason why it was called that is the bottom of the bag looked like the hoof of an animal, and it would bend in order to kick out the legs and set it down. And so it was quite unique, and a lot of people liked it. However, as Matt's alluding to, it really didn't come in 14 dividers in the day. It was more like a 6 divider type thing. And what it did is it made it light, so it was really a preferred bag for those of the that were in the high school arena, sometimes the college. But back then, Jones Sports was also contending for that title of the number one type bag. So it was all that. So it's one of those things. I'm not personally, I'm not a big hoofer person because of the movement of the bag. But I will say this, and I will tell you right off the top is that I am a Sun Mountain dealer, so I'm going to show them a little more preference. And if you're looking for light and 14 dividers, I believe they've got it in the was it a 4.5? Uh, and the thing I like about Sun Mountain is they started off as a backpack company, and so they've got the shoulder strap thing figured out. However, and their warranty is pretty much top notch. However, I think the Ping bags have done an upgrade since the original models, obviously, because we're what 20 years later, and Ping has never been known to put out anything junky. So, will it be a good bag? I'm sure it will. It's just a matter that it's got to fit because you're a fairly big guy. So, and make sure the 14 dividers too. Make sure they go all the way down, because if it doesn't go all the way down, having 14 dividers at the top doesn't do anything. You're still going to get clobbered up on the underneath where the grips are at, and you probably don't want that. And you'd be better off with this 6. Tim, how are you, sir? We are feeling pretty good. Leeds, Leeds, UK. Hopefully, I'm saying that right, Joe. Alvin, how are you, buddy? Alvin he is a rep. I'm going to get this right. I hope Graphite Design. He is a good man. We've known each other since the Pure Grip days, and he's always been one to have a little fun. And now he's representing a very, very good shaft. So very, very good. I like that. I like that a lot. Alvin, I've been looking at, honestly, you can answer this down below. I've been looking at graphite iron shafts, and I've been getting around all the companies. I've been saving Graphite Design for last. I was wondering, do you guys have something that's pretty special in the iron range? Let me know. Michigan. Thank you, Scott. Well done. And, well, I refuse to get political, so we won't go there. And there's our man, single length. I got another set of single length that went back out, and they were the original Sterling irons. And we put in what did we put in there? Some KBS shafts, I'm pretty sure. And it was all sent. And no, it wasn't. It wasn't that. It was the Wishon white shafts. And I was giving them down the road, and some of the guys that were building with it, they called me up and sent me emails. Why are you giving that down the road? And it's not that it's a bad shaft. I just think it's hard to work with because of a consistency from a flex issue. Outside of that, once they're tuned in, yeah, they're a really good shaft. All righty, let's see what else we got here. Willard's back with us. Hopefully you're not snowing yet in northern Ohio. I don't think we're that cold yet, but it's getting close. George from Pennsylvania. Very good. Now we're getting around the horn here. Jersey. Well, thanks, Travis. What's the coldest temperature I play in? I am the epitome of a fair weather golfer. 50 degrees for me is pretty much it. Now, uh, if it starts out colder, like in the say in the mid to upper 40s, and it starts going that direction, and for the guys overseas, I'm talking Fahrenheit, not Celsius, and I don't have any problem with that particular amount. Now, is it the coldest I've played in? No. I have played in 34-degree weather. I feel like Matt at this point. We actually went down to South Carolina, and I always forget what it is. It's just north of Myrtle Beach, and it's right there on the border. And it's a nice place. It's very quaint. It's very very quiet. Has 4 or 5 really good golf courses to see. And we went down there the first day, and the temperature dropped like a rock. It was like 34 degrees, and we're all out there beating around. I got my toboggan on the whole 9 yards. And then it warmed up to 36 the next day, and then 42 the day after that. And then the day that we left, it was 70 degrees and really, really nice. So I've got my time in it. I just didn't really like it. Now we went back down there a few years later, started at 70, then 50, and the last day it started freezing rain and what appeared to be hail, but it was freezing rain nuggets. And I just told the guys that I was riding with and I was driving, I said, the bus is leaving. Get your stuff and let's go. All right. There we go. Redemption's back in the house. Well done. All right, here we go. We got some stuff happening. What's your opinion on golf ball fitting? What would be looking for into the golf ball fitting? Well, in golf ball fitting, there was a lot of guys that were getting pretty specific with golf balls in that if you have something that can really track the ball, right? You have to have, number one, you have to have something that can really track the ball. I mean, seeing spin, actually seeing a trajectory, the qualities of hit, that kind of stuff. Once you have that, then finding out what works can be quite easy. Now, from what we see in the propaganda, where Pro Vs are high swing speed, number one ball in golf to be sure, and that's based on sales. However, if you look at performance, there's probably going to be 2 or 3 other balls out there that give you that same performance and quite possibly at a cheaper price. Now, but you'd have to see, and you have to be very, very cautious about hitting that. I wouldn't hit like dozens of golf balls just to make sure. What I would do is hit 4 to 6 tops just to take out a high and low and get a good average to see whether or not that was working. Now, what I've done for here is, this is very much a business decision in that I have access to basically 3 golf ball companies. Well, I could go further, but 3 the ones that I talk to the most. And one would be Callaway, the other one is Wilson, and then after that I can either get into, I could get into Bridgestone, I can touch Mizuno, and quite possibly, I could, and there's others, but those are the big ones. And based on what I've done some testing with, I've had guys, we just come in here and hit golf balls, and I know their tendencies with golf balls, and we'll see what happens and how they work. And it gives me a basis to recommend from. Okay. And then what do I use for the basis? Well, I will use club head speed to be sure, and then I will use quality of hit. So for instance, let's say you have a very, very low handicap hitter, and he's also a very high age, slower swing person. If you just looked at miles per hour or swing speed, you may be relegated. You might recommend something in what I would call the second tier golf balls. And in reality, he would be better suited to maybe the upper tier. So here, what I tell people is there's three tiers of golf balls. There's the pro tier or the tour tier, and then there's the performance tier, and there's how much can you jam in an onion sack tier. And when I do the onion sack tier is because those are golf balls that virtually can hurt golf clubs, especially in the cold. And I've seen it happen. Now the tour tier, everybody knows, right? It's the Pro Vs, the Chrome Softs, TP5s, Z Stars, or is it Q Stars? I think it's Z Stars, and the B Tours, all that stuff. Everybody knows those. The performance tier is where a lot of golfers would probably live and get more bang for the buck, and that is like the Callaway ERCs, right? The or the AVTs or AVXs from Titleist, the E12s, right? There used to be E6s. That was a great ball at the time. E12s, the others star, whether it's the Z or the Q, I can't remember for the time. Those would be my choices as the top in that tier. Now in that tier, there's another one where you get like noodles and NXTs and super softs. Oh, and the next tier and the other one would be the Wilson Duo Pluses. They are actually really good. It's a sleeper ball, guys. If you have about let's say you're a 95 mile an hour swing speed or lower with a driver, you'd be surprised how well this golf ball performs. And I just saw there that the Wilson Professional golf ball has been released, and I got to do some testing with that, and it is absolutely no joke. Okay, no joke whatsoever. And it's something to be, if you get a chance to try some, I recommend highly to do that. Now, the golf ball I tend to play the most is the Chrome Soft. My swing speed marries up to it. I would like to think that my ball striking marries up to it, but maybe not. Now, the other ones that the jam and onion sack, normally what I tell people around here is if you're in Walmart or a discount store and you see boxes taped together and you can buy them both for around $20, those are the ones not to buy, right? And that's to keep your equipment safe. And that's how it goes. But that's how I would judge into the fitting, because you also want to take into account putting and how they putt, and are they true to life and that kind of stuff. And after you've dealt with certain companies, much like when we deal with equipment companies, you get a feel for what the golf ball's for. All righty. I go back up here. I went all the way back to the bottom again. All right. I don't think we're going to see Phil hitting one of those clubs anytime soon, but that would be kind of fun. I would like fitting him would be more entertainment than actual reality, but that would be awesome. Jack, what's going on, sir? Tony Merritt purchased a used set of Ping Karsten irons that are 15 years old. They're in great shape. Was going to regrip this winter. Is technology going to be way off? Thanks. If you really got the Karsten irons, Karsten irons. I'm trying to think of, at 15 years, what you're probably going to miss, Tony, is the fact that the lofts will probably be a little bit off, and from age to age. In reality, it just depends. If you're a guy that doesn't go out very frequently, like I tell people, you could, just regrip them, have a little bit of fun with them, and enjoy them. Get them maybe bent a little stronger, and away you go. You could certainly deal with that, no problem. However, are there things out there that are going to be a little bit more forgiving? That is for sure. And that's just because of the technologies that are out there. And it depends on the shaft. If I had any negative whatsoever about Ping, it would be in their shafts, because they use proprietary shafts as a whole, and in a lot of cases, they're not that good. as far as marrying up. Now you put a regular golf shaft in it, and those things are weapons. So yeah, I'm all for them. Well, there you go. All right, that's a good one. All righty. Well, Brendan, it depends. And Alvin's on here. He could tell us where the ADDI6 sits. Man, I went through that one pretty bad, didn't I? The AD is I'm assuming if I'm reading this correctly, is very similar to the smoke. I think the bend profile might be a little bit more softer. I think on this one, and and then you would be good. I mean, I'm a big, if it's not broke, don't fix it. If you're absolutely striping the Epic, then have a day. If you're a multi-seasonal guy and this tour design helps you get through on the what would be your off season, then yeah, put the Callaway in it and have at it and just wait for it to for its time in the bag. There you go, Jameson. Hey, you can't go wrong there, buddy. All right, Kent. That's another one. We're one for one. Tim, I have an OptiFit adapter and only one get about quarter of the shaft into the adapter before it sticks. Should I sand the shaft to get it smooth before the evacuator breeze broke force or something else? Okay, Tim, number one is you want to check to see if there's anything in the adapter. I would run a brush up and down the adapter first to make sure, and then I would do just very, very light sanding until you don't want to brute force it, because when you go to put the epoxy on, it's just going to wipe it away. Now, I like tight fit, but not that kind of tight fit. So I would just sand the tip just ever so slightly in order to get it to fit in. Now, the other thing is you want to make sure that you have the right tip diameter. Okay. Want to have the right tip diameter. So you may have a 335 in your adapter, and it might be a 350 shaft. That's always a possibility. So you want to make sure of those as well. That's happened in the past a lot. All right, but I would check that out to be sure. But give it a little sand, even if you went 350 to 335. Just very, very light sanding, and just to where you're just kind of pushing it in, right, and then put the epoxy in it. Still coming soon. In fact, I was just talking to my dad about it. It was like, hey, how do we? I got to really. He's the guy that kind of, between Robin and him, they're the ones that keep me focused. More Robin, so much more than my dad. But these guys are like, well, okay, when are you going to do this? Okay, when are you going to do that? But right now, we're in the sweet spot for making videos, because here it's starting to slow down as far as people coming to see us. The teams are almost done, that kind of stuff. So now's the time I ought to really be getting after it. Did make a visit to GolfWorks to ask them, and they haven't had a class this whole entire year, and very well may not have it into next year, which just seems like this is a really good time to make that happen. So keep asking, keep pushing me on that one. I really, really like that one. Duluth, Minnesota. No, I haven't, Dan. I have not. And so my Callaway rep is due here on the what was it, the 3rd or the 11th, something along that lines. But in the next It's going to be about 3 weeks. And when that happens, yes, I am. Yes, I am. And then we will be doing some testing and we will be doing a review. The forged cavity back looks to be very promising, particularly for a player's cavity back, so to speak. And knowing them, it's chances are they say traditional lofts, which are probably stronger now than they were in the tradition. So you probably hit them just as good. The thing with that is, I think a lot of people can hit those types of clubs. It's just that the shafts that typically come in them are so strong, it's hard to, it's really, really, really hard to, oh, what do I want to say? Uh, to get a good feel for it because they got these extra stiff shafts or very heavy shafts. When if you lightened it up a little bit, a lot of guys, it might come around to a lot of guys. Can't thank you. Yes, you guys are. Yes, you're very hardy. And I see those. I see the likes of uh, Finch and Shields out there, and they've got their, they're very tough with their vests and their very long sleeve shirts and the big sock hats now, and it's pretty nice. I wish I was that sturdy. I'm that sturdy in the body. I'm just not that sturdy in the mind. Aha. Okay. Very good, Joe. Thank you. The old woody top. What's the woody top, Kent? Ogio does make a pretty. Still today, I wouldn't count them out either, Kent. The Ogio has a with that locking in. What they have that lock on there, so your clubs don't jingle jangle around. A lot of people don't like that, and they're getting out there a little bit more. What's the best quality OEM in your opinion? Ooh, Jack, you're hurting me here. Mm, I think I honestly, I would think that that goes around the horn a little bit. I don't think any one company has cornered the market on quality. Okay, as far as irons, we'd say traditionally Mizuno is a very high quality iron, and the reason why it's associated that is because of the forging process that they use, right? And we all assimilate forged with high quality, right? And cast clubs with not so much. And in back in the beginning when this is all started, then that was very, very true. And now you have all these different processes and multiple piece forged product, multiple piece cavity product, and the way that they get along. And what I take from it is when I do club reviews, I actually measure the demo versus the spec to see how close they are, right? And I take it from that. Are they very close? I give them 1 degree of change. I give them one swing weight of opinion, and I give them almost no leeway on length because that's very important to them. And I have it's pretty hard to compare that in Mizuno because I get heads only. However, in the hybrid, it was dead on. In Callaway, I just did the Big Bertha hybrid review, which is over here. Hold on. This guy. It looks black, but it's not. It's actually blue. Let's see if I can get this here. There you go, blue. Uh, I like that one was in within check of every spec except for length. It was off by a bit, of which I don't give any leeway on the length. As far as Titleist had a quality reputation as well. I don't know if that's necessarily so anymore. It's not that I don't like them or anything. It's about the feel I get out on the internet. Uh, but do they make a good product? Sure, they make a good product. Ping makes a good product. As far as being a sturdy, well built product, Ping I think could probably top the list. But again, like I said before, I'm not a fan of their shafts. And it's from a performance issue versus does it break or anything like that? No, but it's from a performance issue. So everybody has their little nuances and their little clicks on what they like. Wilson is a very sturdy iron as well, and in their putters, as far as bang for buck, I mean, it's you get a milled putter for $100. Now, am I a fan of them? No, because most of them aren't left-handed, and I I can see better for them. Their drivers have stepped up just logarithmically, right? Are they built well? Yeah, I think they're built extraordinarily well. They're just never going to get the press that a TaylorMade or a Callaway or even now Titleist is going to get. And Mizuno makes a good one too. But again, the same thing because of the overwhelming positivity that they get in their irons. Putters are another thing. Number one on tour right now is the Odyssey brand. It used to be Scotty was the big daddy. Do we think Scotty makes a bad putter? Absolutely not. The But it's just that it depends on what you think on between sales, usage on tour, what I see in the shop, that kind of stuff. And I tend to like, and we picked the club companies that we picked for a couple of reasons. One, they did make a quality product. Two, they made some stuff that was left-handed. And three, their availability and their closeness. And so that's the reason why we have what we have. Sweden, very good, sir. You're right in here with him. Voila. And from Sweden, that's a heck of a background shot, dude, from Sweden. Either that's really, really cold or you're on vacation. Welcome, though. Thank you for joining us so late. I know it took a while. Always great in Cod's country. There you go. I need to know that. So, Kent, do you guys know where Cheltenham is? Hopefully, I'm saying that right. Cheltenham. I have there was once a clubmaker friend. Her name was Renee Cleaver, and a very, very smart lady. And I don't. She went back home to help take care of her parents, and she started a golf club business in a greenhouse. But they did some really neat stuff inside. It was very neat. Greensboro today, golf in the AM. Well, Steve, thank you, sir. Greensboro. Now I'm getting jealous, buddy. Ventura, California. Now we've hit both the coasts. We're in the middle. We're Mexico, the UK. We are all over the place. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Uh-oh, nothing but rain. But Ken will be out there playing with you guys. San Jose. There we go. No smoke this time around. That's what the kids were saying. I just talked to the grandson last night and the granddaughter, and they didn't have any complaints about that. Now, if we can just get everybody back to school, we'd be okay. I hate that the kids are missing out, and I don't know about you guys, but I'm not a personal fan of this virtual stuff. I think interaction is as important as anything else. All right. Portland, Oregon. There you go. I'm glad that they worked out with you, buddy. They're one of the few folks that will do something like that. If you wanted, a particular color on your grip and a particular ink on the other stuff, there's another fellow I know out there that does it, but you have to do in mass quantity. So that's not it. So I'm glad it worked out. Halifax. Ooh, there you go. Chained to my workbench, but love it. Thanks, Nick. Thanks. Whoa, look at that. Now we're starting to see some UK slang, guys. Learn it, live it. There's Alex. Man, I just sent Brian back his 2-iron. I think you might like that. You might want to ask him to swing that thing around. So for you guys to keep up, Alex, I've built sets for both Brian and Alex. Brian, I'm not gonna. Hopefully, I'm not hurting your feelings, but I met him first. He appeared to be the player of the two, but Alex holds his own, and we've been. He gives me these little projects to do, bending the fairway woods and building all these different things, and so it's been a real treat. And this last one, we got a tailor-made 2 iron, and it was the TP model, and he didn't have anything for it to go into, and we've been putting Acra in just about everything else. So we went and got a TZ hybrid shaft, and I trimmed it down about an inch, maybe a little bit more, and got him up into the couple of X Flex where all his other stuff has been. It still has it. So tell Brian if it feels whippy, it really isn't, because it's gonna play good. Got it bent, and the thing looks like a butter knife on the end of a rod. It's very, very thin, so hopefully it works out. Joey McDonald, Galway, Ireland. Thank you, sir. We are going into 6 weeks of lockdown. Oh my God, you know, I really do want this to be over. It's tough, but man, oh man, it's oh. I will tell you, Joey, that I was able to play Galway Country Club on my first trip over there. That was on our 25th anniversary trip, and wow, it was set up for the what was it? The Southern Ireland Amateur Championship, and everything was just shaved. Everything was just shaved. So if you hit it just even a little bit off center, it just kept rolling and rolling and rolling until it was just gone. And it was tough. And that's the first place I've ever hit almost hit a driver into a par three because the wind was just so bad, and hit a low mid iron into a par four going the other way. That was when you cross over the road or get on the road and you're playing close to the edge, and the wind was just coming in, and it was bad. And turns out I ended up golfing with a person that was a professor at the university there, and he did some tenure in Oklahoma. So we got together and we started talking, and he was asking me about golf clubs, and I said, I tell you what, I'll trade you. You help me get around this golf course, and I will help you with your golf clubs. It was a really good trade. The guy was just he was a really, really good guy, and he was really nice. And I to the day this day I got a picture of it. I hit one on the green, and it was so hard it bounced, and it hit into the gorse on the back, and it was sitting about a foot above the ground. And I'm looking at him and said, "How do you hit it out of this thing?" And in my best Irish, he says, you just give it a whack and see what happens." And I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And that was my first encounter with that stuff, and that's nothing to be messed with, to be sure. And we stayed at the hotel that had a pool that had seawater in it, and the guy knew exactly where I was at and offered me a ride. Just super nice. A real testament to the Irish. Harrisburg, PA. Thank you, Daniel. Like the dog. We're big dog people. Oh, Nick, where's Alvin? Alvin, you need to answer this one. What makes top quality shafts so expensive? All right, help me out with this one. All right, so Nick, I've asked that question myself. Okay, and I will tell you it's in a nutshell. Okay, there are significant different levels and qualities of graphite. Think about in different types of woods. There are different levels and qualities of woods, and woods, maple, pine, all the oak, all the different types of cherry. And the more exotic you get, the more pricey it is per linear foot. And the same thing can go in graphite. There are stuff that is being used in the space shuttle. There is stuff that is being used in the Airbuses, and there is stuff that you can find everywhere. And of course, uh, those have different price tags on them. Okay, that's one. Two is also when we talk about the use of epoxy, right? It used to be when they had a lot of shaft breakage, they used a lot of epoxy. Now, with technology the way it is, the research that they do, they're trying to minimize that amount, and we're seeing some really high quality stuff come out of there. And then, of course, everything else you're paying for the design, and that kind of stuff, some marketing stuff. But the bottom line is there is brittle fracture, how much it takes to snap it, and the tensile strength for it to pull before it breaks. There's all these things going to make it a very high quality, a very high quality strand of graphite. And now you're seeing that much like in when you see wrapped electrical cabling, right? When just the smaller stuff, and you see it's all wrapped up and it makes one big strand. Well, imagine that in the strand that is, well, it's teeny weeny, right? It's imagine in a strand that is, less than a 16th, and there's multiple strands within that in order to garner strength. And then those strands are layered together in order to make a sheet, and that breaks a sheet and it makes the pre-prig so that you can bring it around. Now, all that comes into that catch. And then you got that. If you guys have been watching on the internet, there's that what the auto shaft or and it's some crazy expensive shaft. Now, what if it's made out of pixie dust and fairy tales? I don't know, but uh, that one I'd have to see more in before I can lay down an opinion on it. There you go. There you go. Jack's back from Lombard. Well done, sir. Well done. Have you guys given up the ghost up there, or is there still hope for maybe a couple more rounds? James, still using. I've seen this picture before. Use the X Hot Pro irons, MT Dew wedges with Project X95 6.0, but need a graphite to soften things. What would you recommend for me on a budget, as foam shaft inserts are not enough? Well, the Project X95 means you're in a 95 gram 6.0 from them is either in the stiff or extra stiff, depending on the era, right? Because Project X, the numbers shifted left to right. And so if you're looking to soften things up a little bit, you could go to, what would be available in that? So you probably go into that 870-ish gram shaft, I would say. That seems to be a sweet spot with a lot of guys. And you could walk around there and see a lot with that. The ones that I've been kind of keeping my eye on here as of late, it's not, although it's not a budgety shaft, is that the Mitsubishi stuff, the MMTs and the OTIs. However, that's kind of exotic, so that's not where you're at. You want to go kind of the other direction, right? And you could look at, if you were really budgety minded, I would check out Golfworks and their own mark of shaft. They do a pretty good job uh, as far as budget minded is concerned. There is also, I'm just trying to really think. Uh, well, right now, actually, if you go out there and search it right this very moment, you're going to see a lot of recoils that are on sale, and that is a steal. They're running around $25 a piece, and that is an absolute steal. That's where I would go looking for those. And I believe they're in the 400 series right now. The 460, that's the ones I would be looking at in the flex that you like. And that's the ones that are on sale right now. Oof, really? What happened there? Are they shut down where they're making the Titleist product, Steve, or what? But the AVX is a very close, from what I understand, the AVX is a very, very close version of the Pro V. Hence, it's very, very close in its price as well. A lot of guys that have been playing it have been liking it, right? And it saves them a little bit. Tubbsy's in the house. Well done, sir. Thank you for showing up. Arizona, look at that. We're really all kinds of places today. Very well done, guys. Thank you. Jamming on a sec. That's it. That would be Southern Ohio slang for me, Kent. Yeah, I'm the Chrome Soft Jack. I'm a Chrome Soft guy. I like they have the ERC. If you like the Chrome Soft feel but don't want to pay as much, although it's only a few bucks off, the ERC is a very good ball. Very, very well done. The super softs are something I would probably, when it gets into this kind of temperature, when you get into the very low temperatures, I would certainly consider that as well. So those are pretty good picks. There you go. And there it is right there, bud. That's exactly what I was trying to get across, and I apparently did not do a very good job of it. It is an excellent shaft, but you have to do it just exactly what he did. And so what I had to do is I really had to switch shafts around in order to get them lined up to where I needed to get them, and the trimming gets in that particular realm. But when they're lined up, they're very, very well done. Okay, let's keep going. Super hot 70. James, I haven't seen one of those around here in forever. Been messing around with the Vice Pro lately. Nice ball for the price when buying a few at a time. What do you think about that? They've been doing kind of the guerrilla marketing on the internet using that guy that goes around and travels on the golf. I like that guy. I met him this year. He's a good guy, and so and he's pressing the Vice. I don't know too much about it. I have not seen, but it looks to be good. Well, Jack, I use a combination. When I'm testing for length and the golf ball really doesn't matter because I'm more worried about impacts, I actually use Wilson range balls. And when they're warm, you'd be surprised how well they work as far as numbers go. From a distance perspective, they're very, very close. It's the spin rates that are off. That thing will spin probably between 800 and 1200 RPM more than the regular golf ball off of a driver, uh, and based on who you are, right? So from the Pro V Chrome Soft, you can be between 1,000 to 1,200. If you're in the performance tier, it's closer to 800 to 1,000. That's where the breaking's at. And how do I know that? Is because that's how we tested them. I would have guys hit, 5, 6 drivers and of each one, and then we would just start comparing and do averages. And that's what it came out to be. Now I also use the Wilson Duo Pluses. I will use some Chrome. I do have some Chrome Softs in here that we hit just to kind of give people the idea. And then I also have, oh, what do I have? I have some Super Softs, and then I actually have some of the old Bridgestones in order to hit those so that they can get an idea of that as well. I don't, that's a good question. If they were done in 14, that's not too far out. But, they had the Karsten eyes. In the beginning, it just said Karsten on it. And if it was one of those, it's way older than 15 years old. But there used to be where you would get where you sing Ping Answer or the Ping Karsten. That's where I think it's at there. Pretty close. Well, based on what the white was, see I would look at I would look at the about the 70 gram. Because 7 grams you're not going to really detect so much, and I think they run a little bit higher than advertised anyway. Is the TGI 70s? Very, very, very consistent, very, very good little shaft. Now over there, if you're anywhere near England, go see Lee. He's the Acra distributor for the entire area over there in Europe, and he also runs a fitting shop. And he could let you hit some of the Acra product. They have a Acra 70, an Acra 80, and an Acra 90, and you could probably get through some of that and just see what they've got in that one. And if you really want to go high end or high tech, they also have they're one of the more consistent shafts, or what they call it, constant flex. Constant, the word constant's in it, and it's a Japanese type shaft. I don't get to see too many of those, but I'm sure he can. And check either one of those out. All right. Well, at least I can compare with TXG and how those guys are doing. I like those guys are actually kind of fun to be around. The Matt's not much of a personality. He's kind of the straight man in those two. But oh my God, those guys are great. All right, wire brushed it. Very good, sir. That's the way to go. Normally, when you run into that kind of stuff, it's typically that there's some level of um, booger in there, right? And in order that you just don't see, because sometimes when you clean them out, that they get a grade that's the same inside, and it's really hard to see, and you got to kind of look twice at it. Well, thanks, Nick. I appreciate that. So leading into that, thanks for the lead in, buddy. Here we go. I've got one leading out tomorrow that is it's making golf clubs the same. And if you remember when I showed you the two Hogan medallions, they were side by side. Uh, I got a set of Hogan Edges GCD tours, and they're a bigger cavity, but they're very narrow, and they have some offset on them. And he wanted me to make them in spec like the Hogan medallions. Well, he sent me these steel shafted medallions that were very light and flex, and he wanted me to spine and flow and the whole 9 yards and swing weight. And he had the new black NV shafts in them, and those things were stout. All right, very, very stout. So we weren't going to get the flex off, but the rest of it came in very, very close. Now, in the last week, he was actually on, and I asked him uh, about the actual length, because I wanted to vary the length, because he was a 37-inch 5 iron, which is an inch short. Typically, when I do that, I like to go in 3/8 inch increments instead of half-inch increments, and he agreed to that. So we did some manipulating around and got him there. So not too bad. Dave, thank you, buddy. Steel or graphite for irons? What's the difference between steel stiff and steel graphite? George, you want the quick and dirty? Nothing, right? Stiff is stiff. Length is length. Flex is flex. Now, the difference in steel and graphite are the big differences. Well, let's go back one step. Graphite gets this bad connotation that's for old people, and but you see it all in the drivers, right? Everybody in tours using it. You see them in the hybrids, right? Yep. Fairway woods, yep. And some driving irons, yep. So when it gets into steel, why is that such a problem? And a lot of it is tradition, and the other one is that some of these guys swing so hard that there wasn't anything out there for them. So again, in Jim's opinion, what it is that graphite owns the lightweight category. So anywhere from about 95 down, graphite is a superior shaft. And because they can come in so many different weights and profiles. You can certainly find something to fit you. At 95 is where the battle begins because steel is making a very, very good 95 gram shaft and then from up. But at 95 grams in steel is typically those things that launch the ball really high, can have larger butt sections so they can get that weight down. And then as soon as you jump into that 100, 105 range, they start acting more like their tour partners that are in the 125. And they really can dominate from that weight and up. So the difference really is the real is weight profile, and then the last one, and I tend to see whether or not I really, really want to tell you this or not. So if you're a guy that takes a divot like Jasper Parnevik used to do, and it was a divot the size of Rhode Island, right? I would definitely not put in graphite because graphite as a whole isn't as strong at that particular point because now, let's face it, he used those things like a shovel, right? And when you hit them like that, there's just only so much abuse that those things can take, even the steel at that particular point. But that guy's a unique individual. That golfer is unique, so it's like a one in a million kind of thing. But outside of that, you could put him in anything. And there's getting to be more and more of them out there. Steel fiber is another one. And for whoever asked me that before, steel fiber is another one. You could check them out. They come in those series of weight categories as well. There it is. Robin's telling me my rep's 11.6, so we'll be talking about the apex after that to be sure. In Germany, wow. Did you ever find that guy that I was talking about? I'm sorry I didn't know his name, but there was a couple of folks in Germany that were really doing a good job over there. All right. What's your opinion on future of club development and where is it going? Nick, as much as every time I think we can't go too far, they come up with something new. And I know that's a worn out drum, and I know that it's basically a cop out, but it's true. Uh, I don't think I think what you're going to see is more multi-pieced, multi-piece pieces of equipment, meaning that you're seeing, let's use Callaway as an example. Here, I got something here. We'll even use the Bertha as the example, right? It comes in multiple pieces. There's a face, there's a skeleton, there's stuff on the inside, and there's multiple pieces to get the same spot. The apexes are going to be very much like that, right? And uh, and forged. So there's a lot to be said for something like that, and a lot of it is in the innovation to get around the rules. Just like we talked about, in a couple of them past originally. Oh, geez, we got to go. Look at that. I'm getting the time. We're having fun with this one. So what's happening is what you get is they used to hit it with the golf ball and fire it out of a cannon, and that was core, coefficient of restitution. Now they use contact time, and that's basically this arm that comes down into it and hits it, and it's a matter of time on the face. Well, that's a whole different philosophy, a whole different way of testing, and a whole new way of being able to trick the people that are regulating it in order to get more rebound, more speed, with still being able to do that. I still think that there's room out there, uh, not only in the heads but in the shafts, and Alvin can attest to that if he's still on. The graphite shaft manufacturing techniques. I think once we really start getting tough on them, or they start developing because they're just going to have to, that you're going to see a lot of really unique shafts that are going to give you a performance that I don't think we've seen before. Good, Mike. I appreciate it, buddy. Uh, well, Callaway University was something that was for the, I thought it was for the dealers, but in KBS certs, they have those things. If you go to basically just about any of the, if you want to learn about it, all the OEMs, you get into their areas under the media area, and they will have that kind of stuff. What's another good one? Ooh, I'm trying to figure out what another good one would be. Um, if you want to learn more about it, Acra's got one. They got a Wilson, or they got a university one. I'd try them as well. The and online, the again for I was telling you, but GolfWorks has an online thing. You might try that as well. Very good, sir. There you go. That was it, Cheltenham. Very good. Thank you, sir. No, Matt, you don't. The counterbalance shaft is not as we'll call it egregious. It's not as big as one might lead you to think. It's the balance point more than anything else. You'll be surprised. It will have a different feel because of where the balance point is at. But as far as the weight goes, if anything, if you had to add between 2 or 4 grams, that'd be the max thing. But you're talking about adding it to the back, not to the front. So I would just let it go for right now and just see what happens. You might just, if you want, put on a grip that might be just a bit heavier, and you're in that same spot to mimic what you had. All right, guys, I've been giving the tapping of the watch, so it's time for us to go. Uh, there you go. There's Brian, Alex's brother. Uh, Dude, I think you're going to like it, man. I really think you're going to like it. Don't be afraid to bring it around. I think the thing's a butter knife on a stick, though. Woo-hoo. All right. West Virginia. Yeah, the Autoflex shaft, man. I tell you what, that is something else. Matt, I'm glad to hear that, buddy. Oh, guys, I got to. Oh, I thought I had to sneeze. I'm glad you're there. All right, last one and we're done. Would headwind increase spin rate or launch angle? The headwind would certainly increase the launch angle. It's going to force it up, and then it's going to hit it, and then it's going to force you back down. It might be perceived as extra spin. Bottom line, what happens is it gets caught up into it, and it gets thrown up, and then just pushed right back down. Okay, guys. Uh, we're 7 minutes past. It's the longest one. And I got this. Well, the spine process gets you to where it helps you flow it easier, James. That's the reason why. I don't, you would hunt where it flows way more. The spining gets you started in a certain spot, and then normally you're 1 or 2 degrees either way. That's the reason why I do that. It gets you into the better part, and then you can get into that. All right, guys. Again, thanks you. We have been all over the world today, and people that are coming to see us and talking golf. I appreciate it. And again, join us next Monday at the same time, 17:30, where we can talk more about this. And don't forget, tomorrow we have the video coming out. It's making golf clubs the same. It's about the two Hogan clubs and how they matched. It turned out pretty good. I think you guys will enjoy it. And as always, let's see those scores go low.